Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Obscure Orations. This week we come to you with zombies. Something near and dear to both mine and Taylor's heart. We are zombie freaks. So we're going to be talking about zombie culture, zombies in video games and books, graphic novels, movies, all the fun stuff to do with zombies. So, I've done some research. Taylor's done some research, and as it's worked out, I went the historical route, which is weird because Taylor's the history buff.
That's the awesome part.
And she just toddled down the video game aisle. So, before we get into the world of zombies, follow us on Spotify. We are on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram.
Yes.
I can't remember my social
X.
medias. Instagram. So yeah, you can find us there. Every single account is under the name Obscure Orations. So just look for us and you'll find us. So now on to zombies. So I was super excited to get into this because I love zombies. I'm like a total zombie freak. I love everything to do with zombies. Everything to do with zombies. I have zombies in my garden. I have zombie garden gnomes, okay? It's awesome. So when I say I went the historical route, I dug deep into the history of zombie, the Haitian religion of voodoo, not VOODOO, it's VODOU. Totally different. And how they correspond to zombie. And it's zombie, ZOMBI. Modernization added the E.
I'm kind of curious why.
I don't know. I don't know. When I was looking up the history of that, it never really made it. It never really said why the E was added, other than it could be because, like I said, the ZOMBI is because of the religion. The E is the brain-eating video game, books, movies.
This could be very
zombie. True. So when I say I went back to like the 18th century for the word zombie.
People are going to listen to this and be like, holy shit.
Right? I mean, like, you think about it. Yeah, in the 1930s, there were zombie movies. Literally, White Zombie came out in 1932. So, yes, and that's where Rob Zombie got the band name and his last name. His last name's really not Zombie. What? So yeah, so they were so there's White Zombie, King of the Zombies, and shit, what was that other one? Revolt of the Zombies. And they all came out between 1932 and 1936.
Really?
And they were considered the influential movies that created the zombie phenomenon that George A. Romero started in 1968 with The Night of the Living Dead. Which, by the way, the word zombie was never uttered in that movie.
See, I thought that I remember hearing something about that where, like, it was one of those weird, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Mandela effects, where people are like, they
Yes.
think they remember the word zombie, but if you actually look through the script and if you actually watch the movie and you listen to it, it's never actually said. And I'm like, wow, that's weird and impressive all at the same time.
Right? And yet it is considered the grandfather of all zombie movies.
Yeah. Like, I don't know anyone who doesn't reference that. If they talk zombies, they're like, Light of the Living Ned.
Oh, Ned Flanders.
Hi diddly ho, Brainerino. I'm a little proud of myself for coming up with that just right now on the spot.
Oh goodness.
Oh, dad joke. And it's a zombie dad joke.
Oh fuck. That's amazing.
I am so proud of me right now.
Hell diddly ding dong crap. I fucking love Ned Flanders.
Oh my god, me too. I can remember quoting him so much. And I feel like he was a zombie in an episode of The Simpsons.
He was.
Okay, I was going to say, I think I remember it's been a minute since I've watched any of them.
Yeah, one of the Treehouse of Horrors.
Yes. Those are my favorite episodes of The Simpsons.
Oh. So, if you go on, I think it's Disney Plus.
Yep, they actually have all,
what is it, 38 seasons of The Simpsons?
Yeah, something like
you
that.
They literally have a separate tab of all their Halloween episodes.
Treehouse of Horrors. Yep.
It's the best thing ever.
I was so happy because they just did that. I think this year was the first time that they did that. And I was so fucking happy. I was like, oh, that's my favorite time every year where it was like, it's time for Halloween.
I'll be saying to Norm, set up the PVR, the Simpsons Halloween episodes on this month.
Yes, it's not just me.
Yes, I'm 53 and like the Simpsons.
I don't think it's going to matter. I can remember being a kid and thinking that by now the Simpsons were going to be done. And instead, they continue forever and a day. And so long as they keep on giving me the annual Halloween one, I will support them until the day I die.
Okay, so now back to zombies. So, Webster's dictionary defines zombies as undead creatures frequently featured in horror fiction and film. Diseased, reanimated, dead that live off of flesh. Good job, Webster. So when I say it went back to the 18th century, I did. The word zombie, Zombie, was attributed to a British author. And his name is, I gotta look this up, Robert Southey. I went looking for him, but believe it or not, the internet, for what I could find, had no information on this 18th century author that coined the word zombie.
That's kind of rude.
Right? But anyways, the idea of zombieism in fiction, again, like I said, has been galvanized by George A. Romero in Night of the Living Dead, and it spawned a whole subculture of zombie movies.
Yeah.
And to this day, those movies are considered classics. Which, I mean, I have to agree. When somebody says, "Who was your idol growing up?" I'm like, George A. Romero. Who's yours? You know. Why you asking me such stupid questions? So
just picturing little Dave. Oh my God, he's my hero.
so but like those original zombie movies in the 30s kind of spawned or urged on, not that I think George A. Romero, I think he was still a child in the 30s, so they may or may not have impacted his decision to write Night of the Living Dead.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if you watch those and got ideas from them and went, oh my God, I'm inspired, this is what's going to, I mean, I'm sure in his mind, he didn't think that he was going to make like some sort of great future off of it. He was like, I'm just going to make this awesome movie that I love for myself. And then went,
and like nowadays zombies are everywhere, like
oh my God, yes.
like I said, we books, movies, TV shows, music videos, Michael Jackson's Thriller, and for you and me, the best video games.
Oh my God, yes.
So I've been a gamer since 1982, when my parents bought us the Atari 2600 for Christmas. Woo! Just dated myself. No, we had joysticks.
Oh, sorry, by then I got the joystick.
They were literally the square joystick with the button in the corner.
I was just going to say, it was about this big, a tiny little button, and a tiny little joystick.
Exactly. So zombie games became popular, and I think you would agree with me. Resident Evil was the absolute very first zombie video game to hit consoles, and that was 96.
Yep. And it was a game, pardon the pun, as I just literally thought of it, it was a game changer, quite literally. As I was saying it in my head, I'm like, oh, that's a pun, that's punny.
Yeah, think about what it spawned.
Or say exactly, like, they went into it, so when they called them initially Resident Evil, which actually is called Biohazard.
Yes, that was the very first one, was called Biohazard.
Yep. And it became, for the Americanized version, it was called Resident Evil. So when they initially started it, they didn't think they were going to go anywhere with it. They were like, like, it's going to be a good one-off. People might enjoy it, and that's that. It got such a dramatic cult following. And, I mean, when you go back and play games now, you have that moment of going, it's a good thing that it's nostalgia for me. The new generations, I mean, now there's all the remakes of them, which, I mean, if I don't know if you've seen the graphics in the new ones.
I have.
Holy fuck, holy. I don't even have words for it. Like, it is so just phenomenal. It's amazing. But they are very repetitive games. Like the old school games, when you played them, it was a lot of back and forth in the same maps, because the maps weren't big back then.
Right.
It was, they built a really good story. And I mean, the voice acting back then wasn't great either. Oh, you almost became a Jill sandwich. And that's literally the voice acting back then. It didn't have to be top notch. But the way that the game played out and still plays out is so good, because you don't really see, I'm trying to remember, if you don't see a zombie for the first time until, I want to say it's like, it's a good chunk of the way into the game. Like, you're exploring this creepy ass fucking mansion, which is gigantic, by the way.
Yeah.
Not in today's standards, I know, but for 1996, it was freaking huge. Okay, there was a lot of running around. And you don't actually run into your first zombie for ages. And then when you do, it freaks you the fuck out, because it does not die. You're just shooting it, and you're aiming everywhere in the body, and you're like, why won't you die? And then it finally falls down. But then what's scary about it is that you'll turn around and start walking away, and you didn't have like, it wasn't like games now where you can have the over the shoulder so you can still kind of see behind you.
Yeah.
You're looking in front of you. You don't see shit behind you. And then all of a sudden you just hear this guttural as it pixelatedly got up back from the floor and came back at you.
Pixelatedly.
And it would come back at you again, because if you didn't shoot it enough times or in the head, if you were good enough and you could get it in the head in one shot, it was dead.
Never.
I just emptied an entire clip and it was like, okay, now it's dead. It was like, I couldn't hit its head if my video game life did depend on it. I couldn't hit it in the head. It's like everywhere in the body but the head. But it laid the groundwork. I mean, we're on to like Resident Evil 5 million.
Right? It spawned movies. Resident Evil movies.
Movies, the TV show. Now, mind you, from my perspective, while I enjoy the movies for the most part, I have to remind myself it's kind of like Lord of the Rings and basically anything that's a book adaptation. I have to remind myself, like, okay, this isn't going to be the same. It's probably going to be drastically different. And anyone who's only seen the Resident Evil movies, I was like, oh yeah, Alice is really cool. Alice is really kick-ass and all these things. And you're like,
play the game.
It's like, she don't exist. I don't know who this bitch is, but she doesn't exist. This is someone who, like, the Resident Evil movies to me are a fan fiction that came to life. So someone got to basically create their own character, make her the centerpiece of it, where the games literally revolve around, like, Leon is always my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Leon S. Kennedy, as he goes around and does everything and saves everyone, and it's just, he's badass. Him and Ada Wong. And I know that there's something wrong with me, because yes, I am a lesbian. However, I don't know why, other than something's broken up here, but I have the biggest crush on Albert Wesker.
My video game crush.
I would murder people for him. He'd be like, yeah, so you know that Ouroboros? Yeah, that guy's got it. I'll kill him. Stab, take it, and be like, here you go, honey, I got it. Have the guy's heart in one hand and the disease in the other. Like, I don't know what it is, but I can remember playing the games and like, oh yeah, I really like him. He's a good guy. I like him. And then the moment that I saw him in Resident Evil 5, I was like, it's sealed in. He is my video game husband.
It is a done deal.
It's like, there ain't nothing I wouldn't do for him. It's like, I get it. I get how he got the women, because I'm like, yeah, I'll help you change the world. Let's do this.
And okay, so Resident Evil Biohazard being the very first video game that came out centered around zombies.
Mm-hmm.
We've both played D&D.
Yes.
The undead.
Yeah.
Not zombies, because they didn't refer to them as zombies. They refer to them as the undead.
And
so they've been in video games, just not as the main...
Not the main antagonist.
Yes.
I'd say that's the big difference, where, like you said, D&D, I mean, D&D's been around since the 70s?
70s, yeah.
I think. So there's been, if you look throughout literature, there's been references to undead for centuries upon centuries.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's what I said, 18th century.
And that's the first time, that's when it became coined to call it a zombie at that point. Before that, it was just, oh yeah, the undead this, the undead that. But when you said undead, you didn't necessarily, you had different avenues to go through. Because, I mean, technically speaking, vampire is an undead. So it's kind
we're
of like
undead.
Exactly. I was going to say, when you look at, it's one of those things where you're like, oh, the how one of those phrases go, all zombies are undead, but not all undead are zombies.
Yes.
So undead could refer to a multitude of different things. So then it became like a subclass of it, or it's like, okay, we're going to give a name to it. And then when you look through, like you said, it's in Diablo, it's in Neverwinter, it's in Icewind Dale, and you think about it, they did different versions of them.
Yep.
Where you don't just have like, so for me, no, this is where I'm going to get to pull out my trusty little list of. And let me just tell our listeners now, I only did 3 video games worth of what I called zombie breeds. Oh, four, 4 video games worth of zombie breeds, because I could have gone into a fucking million of them. But,
and that's a whole different show.
Oh God, yeah. I was gonna say that would just be a complete. It'd probably be like 2 fucking episodes of just
series.
nothing but. All right, so today we talk about the undead inn. So I'll start off with the first one, which I know I've played the game and watched the TV series, and I haven't seen the spin-offs yet, but I've seen the TV series, The Walking Dead. So they have what I class it as more traditional zombies. So when you think about zombies, they're slow moving and they shuffle a lot. Like, they're not meant to run after you like a crazy little fiend.
28 days later.
Yeah.
Zombies suck. That's all I said through that whole movie.
No word of a lie. Can't remember if it was that movie or it was World War Z. Or World War Z, depending on where you are in the world. Mom and I watched it, and she was legitimately mad throughout the entire thing, because not only did they run, but they climbed, and they were smart enough to stack on top of each other.
Right?
And she was so mad. We finished that movie. She was angry about it for like 2 freaking weeks.
Atta girl, mama.
She'd walk in and she'd be like, you know what's fucking bullshit? Zombies can't do that. They can't run. They can't climb. You go upstairs. They can't follow you if you break the stairs because they can't jump. And I'm like, it's a movie. They can do things. And there's like, you don't know what they can. She's like, no, they can't do these things. She's so dead set. She's like, fuck this. So then, like I said, I don't know. I can't remember. Have you played The Walking Dead, the game? A Telltale series?
Yes.
Okay. That is, I think that is quite honestly my favorite zombie game. Don't get me wrong, I love Resident Evil and I love all the others. But for me, that one gets me right in the heart every freaking time that I play it, because you get to have that experience. Like, let me just say, Telltale does amazing storytelling. Just for anyone who hasn't played any of their games.
Just to make sure we're talking, that's the one with Clementine, right?
Yes. Yep. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Oh,
gotcha.
I shit you not. That game hurt my heart so many times. So for any of our listeners who don't know, Telltale does video games in episodic seasons. So in season 1, there were 5 episodes, and season 1 was a little bit longer in game time. So I want to say that it was probably about 8 hours worth of playtime, spread out over the 5 episodes. And you get this little girl, Clementine, who in the end is actually the main character of it. It's basically her story being told. Now, when you find her, she's hiding up in a treehouse. And you're this guy who just walking around trying to figure out what the hell happened in the world. And this zombie attacks you, and it's a slow moving zombie. It is the quintessential creepy, scary, and to me, the slower moving they are, the scarier they are.
Absolutely.
Because it's that, like, you panic. And the thing that I love about the Telltale game is that you feel that panic because you are that character. Like, I'm frantically trying to move my joysticks around to grab that goddamn hammer to bash in the zombie's head. And I'm freaking out and trying to aim it, because to me, it makes you feel like you're in it. You're living vicariously through this character. And it gives you that feeling of sheer fucking fear as you're trying to pick it up and aim to grab it, and you realize that your own panic is setting in real life as your character is trying
Needed to add a van.
trying to grab this fucking hammer. Meanwhile, I got my mom on the other side of me. Grab the fucking hammer! What are you doing? Why haven't you gotten it yet?
That's me with Brendan. Brendan will be playing and I'm screaming at him to do something.
She's doing that. I'm grabbing the hammer, and then you're trying to aim it, and it dawns on you. You're like, oh my God, this would be happening. Like trying to frantically, you're freaking out trying to get it. You're like, oh my God, I get how I would miss that stupid hammer. And then trying to bash it in the head when it's coming at you, and then you're trying to hold it and hit it.
Hold it back, exactly.
You're like, oh my God, you feel the panic. You can feel it rise in you. And the entire, it's 4 seasons long. And in the first season, you get the little girl. She's actually with you the entire time. You develop a relationship with her. Some sad shit happens at the end that makes me cry every fucking time.
Right.
Clementine goes off on her own. And in game 2, you actually get to play her. And you get to see the effects from game 1 on her in game 2 as she tries to make it through the world and grow. And you don't realize that you're making decisions with her. Like in game 1, all of your choices impact how she behaves in game 2.
Right.
And then in game 2, all of your choices that you're making are actually, they put a little sign at the top of it, which I love, and also disturbs me at some points when I make decisions. I'm like, oh, fuck, that was an important one. At the top, it will say, Clementine will remember this. And it doesn't mean that it's going to affect that particular game. That's the part that I loved, was because you finish season 2, you go into season 3, and in season 3, you play a different character, but Clementine is in the game. And you get to see how all of your choices from the first 2 games, including all those Clementine will remember, all of a sudden, if you made a wrong choice, oh boy, does it come back to bite you in the fucking ass.
Right.
As it goes, Clementine remembers when, and you're like, oh shit. But,
why you gotta remember that?
Yeah, exactly. But getting to watch her go through this zombie infested world, and you watch this girl grow up who basically, for me, I don't need to be a mom. I'm a video game mom. I have Clementine. I'm literally yelling at the screen during season 3 where I only have specific answers for my character that I'm playing. And I'm like, I don't want any of these answers. Clementine's going off and doing it. I'm like, just a girl. I'm so proud of you. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Bash that zombie in the head.
So, since we're on The Walking Dead, and we're talking about the Walking Dead video game. Mm-hmm. So, The Walking Dead, based on the graphic novels by Robert Kirkman, it spawned a TV series that ran for, what was it, 13 years? There's 13 seasons, and then there's spin-offs.
Yes, I think was it 13? 11.
11
seasons, because I'm on season 9. I got annoyed with the Negan storyline. That bored me. So I got to get back into it and finish it, because it made me angry.
So,
but yeah.
When that TV series first came out, I was 148,000% invested. I had the first 6 or 7 graphic novels.
Oh, okay.
So I was excited. Watched the first season. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? And as the series progressed, spoiler alert, as the series progressed through each season, I found myself getting bored with the fact that Rick's group was always facing an enemy, whether it be the governor,
yes,
Negan, Alpha, like, it always seemed to be the cliche of good versus evil.
Yes.
Character deaths. Yeah, characters died. The one that really hit me was Glenn.
I was just gonna say that one, and that one, to be fair, that one hit me more because when we watched the first season, because we didn't watch it right when it first came out, we didn't even know about it. So I had played the game first. And seeing the characters from the game in the show, like when I got to meet Glenn in the show, I was like, oh my God, that's where he left from the game. Because in the game, he literally leaves you and goes, I have to go back to Atlanta. And I think it's Atlanta.
Yeah, it's Atlanta.
Okay. And then he shows up in the exact car wearing the exact outfit that the character has on TV is what he shows up. I'm like, oh my God, he just left me. And that's why he left me. I get it now. So that death, that one hurt me. That hurt my heart.
It did that. I'm not even going to lie. I won't even try to sugarcoat it or hide the fact that I was a sobbing mess in the chair. Like my husband was like, are you okay? He's not really dead.
But he is.
It was just, I mean, the last couple seasons, I got really stagnant with.
Yeah.
And when they announced that they were done, I was happy because I felt like they kind of maybe went
too far.
3 or 4 seasons further than they should have.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it. It's making a shit ton of money for AMC. Chris Hardwick had the Talking Dead show afterwards. And he also did the same thing for Fear the Walking Dead, which again was a spin-off from The Walking Dead. So, I mean, I absolutely loved the show up until I started seeing a lot of redundancy in the good versus evil Rick Grimes group and the bad people. What I loved about that show was the zombie horde mentality.
Yes.
The only time you saw a zombie horde was Return of the Living Dead when they're trapped in the shopping mall.
I want to say yes. In old school, yes. Because I'll say that now, how was it? Zombieland Double Tap, the sequel, does the zombie horde. And I'm trying to remember which, eventually Resident Evil, I'm trying to remember which movie. It took a while before they started showing the zombie hordes. Because it took them ages before they got to that fact. Because I don't know what it is that so many things that shows or movies don't want to show the zombie hordes right away. Like,
well, I mean, you think about it, you got to have a horde of people. Go back to the days before CGI.
Yep.
You've got to pay 300 people to dress up as zombies and shamble their way down the street type thing, right? Whereas now with CGI, you pay 2 people and you just like mass produce them.
Mass produce them.
But the horde leads me to my favorite video game. And you know what it is.
I just don't know. It's Plants vs. Zombies.
No. No, it's not. Good guess, though. I fucking love Left 4 Dead.
What's awesome about this, so as just a little side quest note, that is literally, and I will show you, Left 4 Dead. It will show up That is my very next one, and that was exactly the one that I was going to lead into with the exact same thing, was using the hordes to go into the Left 4 Dead.
So I played I'm an Xbox girl, a Nintendo and an Xbox girl. I do not have a PlayStation. When I first got an Xbox 360, Left 4 Dead was one of the first games I bought. Yeah. Paid $20 for it.
Yep.
Back in the days when things were cheap.
Oh, good days. Good days.
When we realized that you could have 4 players in the game and they all didn't have to be in the same house with a 4 split screen.
Mm-hmm.
So there was myself, my bestie Anne, who we've talked about numerous times, Al, who I went to grade school with, and Al's friend Randy. And it was the 4 of us. And you want to talk about wasting a weekend stuck in a video game. Like, my husband knew I'd be like, oh, meeting Ann, Al, and Randy on the Xbox at 11 a.m. He'd be like, okay, see you Sunday night type thing, right? He would go to Tim Hortons for me. He'd come home. I'd have like 3 extra large steep teas piled up beside me. Every now and then he'd shove a granola bar in my mouth. But, you know, we have our headsets and we're all connected on Xbox Live.
Mm-hmm.
And we're literally screaming at each other, shoot him, get him off me, right? So then I meet Taylor. And I'm like, we start talking video games. I love video games.
I remember that.
You play Left 4 Dead? She's like, I do. I'm like, oh. She gets her friend involved.
Well, I was going to say, so for my perspective, I've been gaming basically since the day I was born, because I got it from my father. He was a gamer. I used to watch him for hours as a child. I continued into adulthood. So my best friend and I at the time, I was back in the day, I was doing school and working. So when I'd get my summer vacation, I'd be at work, where I met this wonderful woman. Bitch.
Where people told me to stay away from me because I'm so bad.
You know what? I should have listened. I would have survived that night. So my best friend and I used to, like, I'd get home from school or from work. I'd say goodnight to my mom. I'd have like a snack or something. I'd get downstairs into my little dungeony room where I had my game set up and all that. I'd whip on the Xbox, put on my headset, be like, yo, DG, you ready to go kill some zombies? And we would be up we'd start at 9 o'clock at night, then it'd be like 6 in the morning going, oh, fuck, we should probably go to bed. We're sucking. Like, I know it's quitting time when we continuously die, and I'm like, oh, now I'm just getting angry and I'm getting worse. I need to go to sleep because I'm not getting better anymore. I'm getting worse at the game. Sleep is needed. So I talk to Dana. We find out we both love it. Add her to the Xbox. She's like, oh, hey, you want to meet up and do some Left 4 Dead? I'm like, fuck yeah, that's what my friend and I play. Left 4 Dead, Dead Island, which is another one we'll be talking about. And a couple other ones, and Left 4 Dead 2, because that had come out too by that point.
Yeah.
So I remember getting into it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is fucking awesome. Now, before we get into the end part of this story, I'm going to talk about the different breeds of zombies in that game. And we're going to leave the last one that you used against me before for the end. So the first thing to know is we have like the common infected zombies. They're the slow moving kind of ones. Like, they're the cannon fodder. There's nothing really special about them. You shoot them a little bit, they die. It's easy. Now, they also have, let's see how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Overall, they have 10 different zombie breeds. 1 is the common infected. 2 is the boomer. Fucking hate those assholes. They're the big fat guys with the giant bellies out to here.
And they gurgle when they walk.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're close to one.
Yeah, that's how you know that you need to run the opposite direction, because they puke on you. And when they puke on you, it's like they puke pheromones on you. So the common zombies are like, oh, I love it. I love that smell. I'm going to come over and kiss you with my teeth. And then a fucking horde is on you. And then the worst part is that even when you shoot them and you explode them, then their vomit goes everywhere. And I may or may not have used that for vengeance against Dana at some point in time. They're like, oh,
she did.
Oh no, look. It exploded on her. What a shame. And then, let's see, there's also the smokers, which I had forgotten about them. They're the ones that have that freakishly long tongue that wraps onto you and pulls
And
you
they
away.
grab you, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about those ones. I always do until it's too late. Like, the characters in the game actually call out to you and tell you, oh, smoker's near. And it never clicks to me which one the smoker is until I'm suddenly being hauled away from the group. My character's
and your character's yelling, save me, save me.
And I'm just yelling at the screen going, it's like, oh yeah, there she goes, ever so graceful. Like, no. Then you have the spitters, which are these they're like they're so grotesque looking, and they're like they have like the most severe scoliosis, because when you think about it, like I don't even know if I can.
I know, they're all like crooked.
Like, they go in like a serpentine shape, and it looks like they've got a baby bump that's like pulling their front forward, but it's not a fully, like, they're not 9 months pregnant, they're just early on.
4 or 5.
They literally spit acid at you, and it's like, well, that's kind of rude. You come around the corner, start, and it just, all you hear is your character going, oh, it burns.
It burns, precious.
It burns us. You're like, what the fuck? I remember the first time seeing one of those, I was like, what the fuck is that? That's fucked up. That is fucked up. And then you have, I can't decide if this is my most hated one or not, but the jockeys. Those little, the fuckers who jump around, and they quite literally, when I was even reading a description of them, they're like, they like to humiliate you before they kill you. They jump onto your back and literally ride you around like a horse. You can't control your character. They're doing it. So you just get really mad, and you're literally telling your teammates, shoot me in the face. Shoot me in the face right now.
Get him off me. Get him off me.
And you literally have to go up and shoot your friend in their face or stab them in the face to get the thing to fall off of you. It's like, oh yeah, whoever did that was a sadistic bastard.
Whenever one landed on me, Randy used to throw hand grenades at me. Or pipe bombs. Pipe bombs at me. I'd be like, wow. Francis would be down, and I'd be like, somebody come revive me.
You're just there.
Med kit. I need a med kit.
And then you have those freaky guys with the one giant arm, the Chargers.
Oh.
Who, they don't give two shits about who's around them. I love watching as they go, quite literally, like their name suggests, they put their gigantic arm in front of them and charge at you and then flail it to fling things around. And they don't give a fuck. They're like the honey badger. Honey badger don't give no fucks. They throw their own. They just take the common infect and go, like, oh, cool, that guy was heading right at me. Thanks for throwing him for me. I didn't have to kill him after all. And then, I don't like these guys, but they're not as bad, in my opinion. The hunters, they're the ones who crawl on everything. So they will literally crawl on walls. They parkour like motherfuckers.
Yes.
As they jump off of trains, off of ceilings, they just jump all over the damn place. And then they pin you to the ground and try and kill you. So, well, I was just saying, like, I don't like them, but I prefer them to the jockeys. And then the one that I actually hate the most, the tanks. They are gym bros. They're those guys who go to the gym, don't work out their tiny little legs, but their bodies are this big as they go walking around, and they charge at you. They grab you, they beat you, they crush you, they throw you off of roofs, they throw you into water. And I have a personal hate for them because when you get to the very end of I won't even say story per se, because the first game didn't have any storyline to it. It was just like you're trying to go from safe house to safe house. But when you get to that last safe house and you're waiting for your rescue, you're like, over here, help me. The number of times I have been fucked over and not able to clear the level because those fuckers come out and take me and fling me across and down a goddamn ravine so that I'm then dead is fucking ridiculous.
And it's not even one of them. There's like 4 or 5.
They always
They're
send
throwing
more
cars and pieces of buildings at you.
Yes. Or say when they're throwing things at you is like the rudest part. Like,
I feel
I don't
okay.
think it's like, I don't think that's okay. I have literally been climbing into the helicopter and they've whipped a chunk of something at me and I've died hanging out of the helicopter. The helicopter takes off and my body just goes, it falls out. I'm like, you motherfuckers. I get so mad. I'm like, that's it. I quit. I'm done for the night. And then there's also, let's see, it's also bloaters, which, I mean, they're bad. They're another explodey one. They're not horrible. Those are one of the easier ones to be able to see, but you're dead. Yeah. You're fine. You're gone. Then the scariest, so to me, this is the scariest one. And I'm sure you know which one I've gotten to now.
The one I hate the most.
Oh, it makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up immediately. Picture it. You're walking through a cornfield, because that's always where she fucking is. And this tiny little girl, who when you're first playing, you're like, oh no, something's wrong with her. All you can hear is this wailing going on. And you think, oh, this poor child needs help. And you get closer, and it's just this tiny little girl curled up in a ball, crying. So you thought, until it's too late. And you realize, as this creature from hell jumps up with gigantic fucking claws, a maniacal, jacked up face, and comes at you, the music changes from an eeriness to just piercing, scary sounds as she goes, and claws you to death as you're screaming bloody murder because you just had the shit scared out of you. Yeah, let me tell you, when one of those comes around, it's not okay. It's not okay at all. And she always brings others with her.
Yep.
Which is when
it's like the scream attracts them.
Oh my, it's got to. It's got to be the scream that alerts them. Because as we know, certain things like crows or car alarms might summon things. So picture it. We're climbing over a wall. We're getting like, you can literally see the safe house in the distance. We're all like, yeah, yay. I'm like, yay, the safe house is near. The safe house is near. Oh, there's a witch over there. Okay, gotta avoid over there. I'll just stay closer here. And the screen says, don't forget, car alarms attract zombie hordes. That's fine. I'm just walking around like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make it. And then something happens. Dana.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
One of my favorite things to do is to run ahead of my group, get into the safe house, not shut the door, but turn around so I'm looking out the door, and then shoot a car that has a car alarm while my friends are around it. So it alerts the horde they can't get into the safe house.
Yeah, there was no, let me tell you all, there was no fair warning about this. She was just like, oh yeah, it's going to be so much fun. Don't worry, let's go, let's do it. Like, sweet, we're going to have an awesome run. We're not going to have any stupid PCs or NPCs doing any of this. Yeah, I'm going to live. And then all of a sudden, someone shot the car alarm. Oh, Taylor's being attacked. I'm like, and then the sign comes up, Dana or Scooby shot the car alarm. Like, and all I can hear is furious giggling from the safe house. And I could hear the door because they make it squeak and clang as it locks. Like,
yeah.
The level of betrayal.
Yeah.
She just, yeah, exactly. This is the laughter that I heard over my headset as she's just giggling away in the safe house. Car alarm still going off in the background. Like, the fuck?
I'm healing myself, filling up on med kits and ammo, and they're all out there dying.
It's like, you dick.
Yeah.
So now this leads me into the next one. That's one of my favorite games, and also one of my favorite ever TV adaptations. Wait, where's my paper go? There it is. So I'll be able to talk about this 2-in-1. 2-in-1 go. Which I'm sure this has probably come up for you too at some point in time. So, The Last of Us. Now, I'm going to specifically talk about The Last of Us Part 1 and how it just tears at your heart. So it's a short video game. I'm not going to lie. Like, I think the fastest I've beaten it was 9 hours, maybe a little under that. So it's not a super long video game, but still so well done. Amazing graphics, amazing voice actors and actresses, great motion capture. It's one of the earlier games that did that for it. Amazing storyline, graphic, just all of it's so goddamn good. So as far as reads go, we have some fun ones that come up in that damn game that suck. So you have the runners, who obviously, as it indicates, are running really fast, which, as we know, my mom does not appreciate. She got mad. But what I love about this game / TV series is the attention to detail that they have. Now, it's to be noted that there's a difference between the game and the TV series. In the game, they didn't use as much science. They used, you're in a video game world. Right. You don't have to have science for it. You can just be like, well, yeah, there's spores. They infect you, and that's how you become sick. So I liked how they explained things. So the runners are runners. They still have eyesight. They can hear. They can run. They don't have any growths on them yet. So that's the reason why they can run, is because they're the early stages. How long? Trying to remember. It said somewhere. It's like they're only a few weeks old. So they're just recently infected. So they're still able to still use their human abilities, so to speak, for the time being. Which makes them a pain in the ass to try and shoot, in my opinion. Then you have bloaters, who are one of the more advanced infected and have been infected for several years. However, they're blind and very slow. However, they also, on the other hand of that, or other hand, they have freaking plating armor that makes them a pain in the ass to try and kill. And they also have they're the ones who have the growths growing on them, so they actually take spore bombs and throw them at you, which, again, not okay. But I did love getting to see them. Like, for me, I loved getting to see all of this live action on the TV series. Like,
yes.
Watching it, I can remember getting chills watching it. So then you also got Shamblers, which are the ones who have spent time in the swampy area, so they kind of look like they got that creepy meltiness to them.
Gross.
Yeah, that's my thought. However, they move really slow, which is the nice part. Mind you, if you get too close, they do that grappling thing and like hold on to you for dear life, and they explode. So I'm not okay with that so much. And then you have the stalkers in that one, which I don't. Did they actually have it in? I don't think they had them yet in the TV show. So they're the ones that are between 2 weeks and 2 weeks old and 1 year. So they move, but they're also quiet and hide in the shadows and get you that way. Which, if I remember right, like that happens kind of like in one of those hospital-y like scenes in the video game when they get you because they're hiding in the shadows and you don't see them. Which I'm a jumpy girl, so I jumped. But so for me, the scariest one in that one though is the clicker who comes out.
Oh yeah, I don't like the clickers.
They're the ones. So for anyone who doesn't know, they're blind. They have the weird looking faces. They're strong, extremely difficult. Well, I shouldn't say that. They're difficult to kill if you get into an encounter with them. If you are sneaky enough and you have shivs, then you just stab them and they die in one hit. But you got to be sneaky enough and be able to stab them.
Yeah, because they're based on hearing, right?
Yes, they're hearing. It's why, because they use. So again, one of the sciencey parts of it is that they actually talk about. I think it's in like you have to read a file or something like that in the game, but they use echolocation like bats do. That's why they click. So when they're going around, they're sending out the sound waves off of the things, and it's just like, okay. The moment you step into a hallway and you hear that first, you're like, oh. I have stepped back so many times, and getting to see it come to life. You remember that part, for anyone who's watched it, spoiler alerts to a certain degree, when you're in the museum and you have to hide from the clickers behind walls.
Yes.
That part gave me heart palpitations in the game, and it gave me them watching it in the TV show because I remember that part. It was that part sitting there, like, even talking about, I'm getting chills thinking about that scene.
I'm pretty sure I got PTSD from that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there was, it was a good solid week where I was like around the corners in my house. Not that I live with zombies, I was just fucking nervous.
Suddenly you hear a click and you're like, what's that? Who's out there? Take IT first.
Yeah. Go for the kids.
So one of the things that I love about the TV show, like, I mean, I'm just going to say this right off the bat. I think it is hands down the best video game to TV adaptation ever made.
Oh, absolutely.
They did such a phenomenal job. It's just ridiculous.
Even with the casting.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, the cast was just perfect. They did so good with it. Now, what I liked about the TV show, I don't know if liked is the right word now that I'm thinking about, but we're going to go with liked, is that they actually went into detail and they showed the science behind how it could happen. And what's disturbing is, like, in the video game, it was creepy enough about the spores, but then the creators of the TV show, who also had the video game people involved, had said spores don't work for that because spores don't actually, scientifically speaking, spores don't hang around like that. They wouldn't be able to go into the world and infect in that way. It would actually dissipate too much. It wouldn't become harmful to us. So instead, they used something far scarier because it's real. And I don't know if people have looked into this or not, but cordyceps are actually real.
I know.
Cordyceps do, I know you and I have talked about it, and I've sent you that creepy video where ants are the main thing that it seems to go after, or what we've caught on video of cordyceps go in, infecting the ant, and they actually infect it in such a way that they become a watcher of their own life. So they're still aware of everything and are being forced to go do things that they don't want to do, to the point of when they go up to the perfect growth location, I guess is how I'll phrase it. And they showed the video, like the video that I showed you, where it latches on for dear life and clings on to whatever, the branch, the leaf, whatever it is, and it just dies. And out comes these cordyceps things that grow out of its brain and its eye sockets, because it actually eats all of the other things in its body and produces itself. Now, it's not only found in ants, because there's been other things that it showed where it was in, like, ants, praying mantis, beetles. And I can remember one of the clips that I had seen from like a nature documentary of even a bird having it, and I want to say a rabbit.
Yes.
And so there's like two horrifying facts to this. One, it shows that the fungus's main purpose is quite literally to go and procreate. That's its entire thing. It wants to proliferate around the world. So it takes over and it literally controls your mind and goes about its merry little way, taking over everything, and is trying to get as much of it out there as it can. So it grows in animals, it grows in this, it grows in that. It has not yet grown in humans. But what I find disturbing, because I didn't know until today, is that we actually have cordyceps supplements. People are actually taking this and ingesting it. And
willingly?
Yeah, it's literally, you can Google it, and 5 million supplements will come up for cordyceps. And I did not know that until today. And I'm mildly disturbed, because my thought is like, okay, I'm trying to remember, there's a lot of different strains of cordyceps. But my thought is, it's like, okay, well, we know what it does to ants. What happens? All it takes is like an evil scientist, Albert Wesker, the Spencer family, to go through and go, huh, how can I use this on a human? I mean, look at the Resident Evil franchise. You have the Ouroboros strain of the virus. You have the T virus. You have the C virus. Now, was there D and V? There's so many different strains of the viruses that they have. You have the I can never say the one from Resident Evil 4, the plague virus.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, you know that one. It just rolls right off the top.
The Bluetooth, you know.
Virus. But you have that, and all of them start off as such, I'll call them like innocent viruses, so to speak, where they don't actually have an impact on humans until a scientist comes along and goes, well, if I just tweak this or tweak that, hey, the cordyceps can cross the species barrier. Look, it can go into humans now.
Who would have thunk that?
Yeah, exactly. So then let's go into one of our other favorite video games, Dead Island. Now this one just has a few different breeds. Like they have the walkers, infected, floaters, rams, suiciders, bug butchers. But my favorite part, which one is it? Is it Butcher? Yes. I absolutely love the game. I still haven't played the second one yet. I have to get into it because now I have access to it.
Yay.
So there's the one special zombie called the Butchers. That's the one that scared the shit out of me, because you don't come across it until you get to the jungle section. So that's Act 3. Like you get through the island part, you go into jungle part. And what I loved about that part is that's when suddenly the realness kicks in. Because you start getting the answers. Up until then, you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm doing these missions. I'm kind of figuring some stuff out. I'm just trying to get off this damn island. I'm CMD, yo. Voodoo you voodoo. Oh, God, I love that
Bitch.
song. Voodoo you voodoo, bitch. I got a zombie. Okay, yeah. I'm going to be singing that for the rest of the day. So you get into the jungle and you start finding the research labs. And then you come across the natives. And this is where we find the Kuru virus, which, in case anyone doesn't know, is real. It's not fake. So obviously, for the game, they go about the aspect of saying, oh, it's the Kuru virus, it's HIV-2 plus the Kuru virus. They come together, it makes it worse. Because they got to be able to make it full-on zombie. Now, I'm going to actually read the true Kuru virus, and I apologize ahead of time because some of these words I'm not going to be able to pronounce. So Kuru is rare, incurable, and fatal neurological disorder that was formerly common among the Fore people of Papua New Guinea, which is where the game is based. So the developers, perfection, I love it. Kuru is a form of transmissible spongiform anosophagy, something, TSE. Caused by the transmission of abnormally folded proteins, prions, which leads to symptoms such as tremors and loss of coordination from neurodegeneration. Now, this part I didn't actually know. The term Kuru derives from the foreword kuria or guria, to shake, due to the body tremors that are classic symptoms of the disease. Kuru itself means trembling, which I didn't know. It's also known as the laughing sickness, which I had heard about in a documentary, due to the pathological bursts of laughter, which are symptoms of the disease. It is now widely accepted that Kuru was transmitted among the members of the Fore tribe of Papua New Guinea via, this part's what gets me every time, funerary cannibalism. Deceased family members were traditionally cooked and eaten, which was thought to help free the spirit of the dead. Yep. Women and children usually consumed the brain, the organ in which the infectious prions were most concentrated, thus allowing the transmission of Kuru. The disease was therefore more prevalent among women and children. And I can remember watching about this in, I can't remember which freaking documentary. Let me just tell everyone I watch a lot of them because I am a nerd like that.
Same.
And I can remember watching it and them talking about the fact that it was in their culture, that's how they released the spirit. And I know that's actually, it's common practice, or was common practice in several different cultures, where it was you would eat you'd eat the flesh of your enemies, or you'd eat the flesh of your loved ones to release the spirit from the body into the great world. Now, from what I recall, not many outside of the Fore people of Papua New Guinea, I don't know very many others that actually ate the brains. I know there's a couple other that also had this issue, but I can't remember where they were. I think there were different parts in the world, if I remember right. But I can remember seeing clips of it and them showing like the people just laughing hysterically. And it was like, oh, okay. And then finding out that there's no cure for it. Like once you have it, I think it's a 1 year time span from the point in time that you're infected to your death. So it's a fairly fast acting death. However, I don't know how I feel about like, oh yeah, here I'm just gonna be sitting going, ha 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 ha.
I don't want to laugh for a fucking year. Kill me now.
Yeah, just shoot me. Just take me out back, shoot me in the head, and be done with it. Nee. So I think that's all of mine. The only thing that I have after that is preppers. So we'll get to that in a minute. If you have more of the, I know that I touched on all the the video game geekiness aspect of it.
You forgot one important video game. One of my favorites too. Next to Left 4 Dead, Dying Light.
I was just going to say Dying Light.
Dying Light and Dying Light 2. Spectacular games on their own. Beautiful storylines. What I like about them is you're given choices.
Yes.
So you can play the game over and over and over again, and depending on what choice you make, that's the story trajectory. And like Anne and I, for Dying Light 2, we have 3 separate games going with 3 different storylines.
Oh.
And I think in total, if I do quick math, we've got about 385 hours for yeah, just a few hours for the 3 storylines. So and to me that's fun, because you open pieces of the map and then you find hidden pieces of the map. And Dying Light right up there with one of my faves.
Now, I know, so for me, like I said, I went full on hardcore video game route for it, video game, TV, movie route. So for you, you went the historical route. Did you come across anything for the original Zombie, Zombi, which, fun side note, there's actually a video game with that title for it, which I'm sure people probably thought was, which I'm sure people probably thought was like, oh, well, they didn't name it right. No, technically, it's actually the original version. Where's I going with this? Did you come across anything about like the rituals and all that they would do?
So, this is what I have in this part. I had to write down because it was it's a lot of info.
Oh God, yeah.
And I need my glasses because I'm blind. So Zombi, Zombi, is a Haitian religion. So a religion based in Haiti. And what it is, how they determine it is a dead person, they are dead, who is revived through witchcraft, voodooism, magic, after their burial, and they are compelled to do the bidding of the person that revives them, including, and this is where they say that Haitian priests or priestess would revive the dead to turn them into the zombie to get them to do criminal acts. Or if you're fucking lazy, hard labor.
I was going to say that would probably be what I'd be doing with it, where it's like, okay, you know what? I need help around the house cleaning. I'm not even going to ask you to do crime.
So, I'm going to go back in time and we're going to touch on a movie. The movie came out in 1988, Bill Pullman. It's a Wes Craven movie, and it is called The Serpent and the Rainbow. And you're going to remember that. I'm going to send it to you in a chat because you've got to watch this movie. You hear the title, you think The Serpent and the Rainbow. Oh my God, it's some kind of like LGBTQ good versus evil type movie. I can
still see that.
It is the Haitian religion of voodoo and how they create zombies. And it's believed that the people aren't dead. They're not unalived. I love that word. They're not unalive. They are living people, but they are under the influence of certain drugs. And I'm not saying that these drugs are like what you buy at Shoppers or CVS if you're in the US. Buran Burundanga.
Heard of that.
It is a plant substance containing scopola, and they use drugs derived from, and I never knew this, pufferfish.
Yes.
Fugu. Sorry. Well, I'll explain fugu in a minute. And poisonous toads. So they would get the toad, and they would, I'm sorry for being graphic, they would literally squeeze the toad so the poisonous substance leaked out the toad's skin. And if you go back a few years, you remember you heard about people licking toads to get high?
Yes.
The same thing. So if you lick enough toads, you're going to get poisoned. Don't lick toads, friends. I don't care where you are. Don't lick a toad. So they would squeeze the toad, get the secretions from the toad, dry it out, make a powder, like, mortar and pestle the fuck out of the dried shit, along with the derivative, the plant derivative, and the pufferfish poison. And they would so say somebody in one of the villages that practiced voodoo, VODOU, that practiced voodoo was a strapping young lad, in his late teens, early 20s, good on physical labor. You're a lazy fuck that doesn't want to plow your field anymore. Your ox died, whatever. You would make this powder and then give the person you wanted to quote unquote revive, give them something to drink or something to eat that had this powder, and it paralyzed them. It's a paralytic. And it basically masks a heartbeat, masks a pause. You doesn't look like you're breathing, so people think you're dead. So they bury you. Then the person that is your reviver goes and digs your ass up, and you're now their slave. Hence and this is where the revival of the dead comes up, where, because family members would say, we just buried Uncle Joe last week. What's he doing working for so-and-so's field, in his field? And that's how that terminology came around. So it is believed that the Haitian people that follow this religion know how to do this. So when you watch the movie The Serpent and the Rainbow, it absolutely talks about this, and it goes into great detail about how it can be done, and it's scary because it can be done. Like you see videos. We all know we use the internet. Come on. You see videos on the internet of zombies, and if you pay attention, more than likely they're in some area of Haiti and practice this religion. So that, when I read about that, I was like, fuck. And I mean, I watched The Serpent and the Rainbow back when it came out in the 80s. So it made me think. I went and I found the movie again, and I rewatched it after, like, reading this information. I rewatched it, and it was like, poop, the light bulbs went on, right? It all made sense. It's very, very interesting. And again, it's your zombie versus zombie. Your zombie with an E, George A. Romero zombie, and zombie with no E, Haitian religion. If any of our listeners are Haitian, let us know about this.
Oh God, yeah. I would love to know more.
Oh, I would totally have a conversation with them because it's when you were talking about Dead Island and the Kuru virus,
yep,
and it coming from cannibalism.
Yep.
Again, okay, I can admit the movies I watch sometimes aren't always your mainstream movie. If you ever have the chance and you have a strong stomach, watch The Green Inferno.
The cannibalism in there?
Oh, the whole movie's about that.
Oh, okay.
It's literally that. It's literally about a group of young adults that go on a I don't want to say peacekeeping mission, but they go to like study this tribe that doesn't see the light of day type thing. You know, unless you're like know that they're there, you don't know that they're there. And they get busted, they get caught. And this tribe is like all fattening them up, and they don't realize why they're locked in a cage and they're getting all fat and fed. It's because they're gonna have a feast. It is a spectacular movie. Gross beyond gross. That's why I say have a strong stomach. Don't be eating dinner while you're watching it type movie. I mean, I had a bowl of popcorn and I had to put it. I'm like, ooh, I can't eat that right
now. I'm gonna need a break from this.
Good. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the movie is based on an actual tribe. I'm not saying that the movie is a true story. I'm just saying that the tribe they talk about is a real tribe.
You know what? I'm wondering, because there's oh fuck, I cannot remember his name now. It's like barely in my brain. There's the documentary of a guy who was, I'm trying to remember the details. He was doing a documentary of a tribe in Africa, I think. I want to say like West Africa. And I can't remember how the video made it back, but like someone, I think like one of the guys left sick or something like that. And they showed the videos, the guys with the tribe, they're like, oh yeah, this is great. Like they're interacting, all that stuff. And the documentary never truly got finished because they all got eaten. So it was, he came across a cannibalistic tribe and didn't know it. He was like, oh yeah, what do you guys eat around here? I haven't seen any like water buffalo. They're like, oh, don't worry.
You like white meat.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, so you're from Britain, did you say? America? Where are you from? Anyone gonna notice that you're gone? No? You're gonna be so good, slow roasted, bud. You and your camera guy over there look good. And those legs, they're nice and meaty. And I can't remember.
No, don't go losing any weight.
Yeah, exactly. It's that moment where I'm looking at us being so fluffy, and I'm like, oh shit. Safe here, not safe in other parts of the world. So this kind of, it's funny. I actually found, remind me to send you the links to the YouTube. I haven't started listening yet, but I have.
Oh, World War Z?
Yes, I have the actual book.
I actually had written that book down in my notes.
So did I. So the reason why I bring it up is because obviously at some point in time I'm going to read it and listen to the audio book because we were instructed to, and I can't wait. But when I bought it, it came with a companion book. I don't know if you've seen this or not before.
The zombie survival guide.
Yes. All
So
of
do
it.
you know who Max Brooks is?
I feel like I read it at one point in time, like I looked it up, but I don't remember anymore.
You know who Mel Brooks is?
I was gonna say, is he related to him?
That's his son.
I was just gonna ask that. That is fantastic. And very different from what his father does. Yes, I'm over here. It's a tad bit different. But so this leads me to, obviously, I have this book. I have as of yet to read it. I will. I like with all my other million freaking books. So to end today's episode, I figured that we'll talk about what I coined the title for it as being preppers. So my mom and I always joke back and forth when we're talking about, like, okay, whether to buy a house or build a house, that kind of stuff. But when we're looking at houses, we're quite literally looking at them, and we both have the same thoughts in mind of, if the zombie apocalypse hit today, would it be would it be sustainable, or do we need to add things to it? So for Mama and I, we have literally looked at every place that we've gone to. Or if we talk about building places, we're like, all right, well, we want to, we want to practice gardening. We want to have like a good solid fence to keep people out. We want to have like the rain barrels that you can collect. And then in some cases, you can have one that collects it and you can turn it into drinking water if you have the systems connected to it and the stuff to put into it. We want to learn how to like can and how to freeze dry food and that kind of stuff. And then like I even have one of my best friends from college. Him, his best friend, and I all talked about it where he was like, oh yeah, I have a full plan. He's like, if the zombie apocalypse happens or some sort of apocalypse happens, drive up to me in St. Thomas. We'll either hold up in my parents' farm, which is a gigantic farmland, so lots of land to live on. And he's
like Herschel in The
exactly,
Walking Dead.
exactly. He's like, and his dad owns the food land up there. So he's like, so we could literally go grab a gigantic truck, bring all of the food back, have supplies for a while, and be able to be self-sufficient. And what I loved about talking about it with him, that I know some people are going to listen to this and be like, oh my God, she's crazy. It's not even necessarily that it's going to be the zombie apocalypse. Something's going to come through.
It could be World War III.
I was just going to say, exactly. There are so many different things that could happen. Look at everything that has happened. The fires that broke out in Canada last year that have never happened before. The fires that took out almost all of the wildlife in Australia a few years back.
2020.
Exactly. Yeah, 2020. I was going to say, I was trying to remember, it was 2020 or 2019. I couldn't remember. So you look at all those kind of things, and it's like something is going to happen, and we should probably be prepared. If anything, the coronavirus taught a lot of people they need to be more self-sufficient. They need to know how to can things. They need to know how to actually cook. Like there's several skill sets that when it comes down to it, I would like to actually know some of them. Like I would like to practice and know how to like maybe sew because I'd like to be able to fix clothes or something. Probably be handy. So one of my things that I really, 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 really want to do is get into archery. I have loved that.
So fun.
Oh my God. I have done it. Like I partook in it when I was a wee one at like the Renaissance Festival, like shooting it into the hay, and I loved it. And I've always wanted to get into it. I've just never been able to find something anywhere that I could go and join a club or whatever, just because it's so much fun. And my thought is that, you know what, like from The Walking Dead, we know that at some point in time, you're going to run out of bullets because
absolutely
no one's making gunpowder. No one's making the shells. No one's making them together to actually make the bullets for the guns.
And if you're a nomad going from place to place, like in The Walking Dead Rick's group was, you're not carrying 400 pounds of ammo with you.
Yep. Whereas, like, I would love to be able, you think about it, the bow and arrow are one of the oldest weapons. I mean, obviously, the pointy stick on the end of a pointy stick or a pointy rock on the end of the stick for being a spear. Yep, I was going to say, arrows are able to be created. You have trees everywhere, and if the end of the world comes, it's not something that's technology based. Nature automatically grows trees. You can break off twigs, you can cut them off, turn them into sharp pointy sticks that you can take a whoop and shoot at people. The bows you can build out of trees. The strings you can build out of the intestinal linings of animals that you hunt. So it's one of those things that I've looked at where I'm like, yeah, that's something that's actually self-sustaining, that if everything else goes to shit in the world, you still have those at least. And you can't run out of that ammo, so to speak. You can go cut down a new tree and be like, all right, here we go. Here's another bundle of 50 or something like that.
So it's really disturbing to me as, I don't even want to say it, as an elder, that I'm 53. You're what, 30?
31, gonna be 32 soon.
Almost 32. And you literally said, I wish I knew how to sew. Which shows me where our educational system has failed so many.
Oh, yeah.
I took home ec and shop, where I learned how to use tools correctly. And I'm not talking power tools. Tools correctly. A hammer, a nail, a saw, a handsaw with teeth on the blade. Home ec, where I learned how to sew, how to can, how to make candles. It blows my mind that these classes aren't taught anymore to your generation and up. Like, don't get me wrong, and you'll love this, my husband and my son will come to me every now and then, and my son will be all like, Mom, can you sew my hoodie? So the sleeves of his hoodies will start fraying.
Oh, yep.
He'll have me sew them. My husband, we do laundry on Sundays. He'll bring the clothes from upstairs, and I'll fold them, and I'll find his socks tied. And he'll be like, oh, that one's tied, it has a hole, can you sew it for me? Like, literally, you can go on Amazon and order new socks. But here I am, sitting on the couch, watching TV, sewing the holes of my husband's socks, because that's what I was taught to do. So, yeah, like, you can come live at my house, because I'm ready for the apocalypse. I know what I'm doing.
See, but that's the nice thing, because with the friends that I've talked about it, because let me just say, whether people talk about it openly or not, there's actually a lot of them who have these plans in mind and don't talk about it until you bring it up, and then they're like, yeah, so I have this plan, and you're going to come over here, and we got this.
It pisses me off too so, like, you're saying, and I'm going to include myself in here. We have a guideline of what we're going to do should the shit hit the fan. I absolutely hate the people that say, what are you, some kind of doomsday sayer? No, I'm a fucking realist. Because you know what? We've already had 2 great wars. Do you honestly think a third one ain't coming?
I was saying, that's my thought. It's like, look at how many wars have happened in just, you think about it, in 100 years. We've had countless wars, the longest war in history. Like, okay, people are too war hungry during this generation. Like, it's
Yeah.
just it's going to happen. Shit's going to hit the fan. And at least my thought is, you know what? It doesn't hurt to have the stuff anyways. If you have these skill sets, I mean, the power's gone out before. We've
Oh,
lost internet. We've lost power. We've lost our debit machines, which for me, I carry cash still.
me
So when the
too.
debit went out, guess who was still able to buy her groceries and still able to go buy gas and able to live a life? Because I still had cash while everyone else is going, well, this is unacceptable. It's like, yeah, well, you know what? Cash is king. Cash is here in my cold, dead hands, and I can pay for things. A
Yep.
plastic card may have access to your funds, but it doesn't guarantee that it's always going to work because anything happens. Freaking EMP hits something and takes out the electrical grid for however unknown amount of time. You don't have the cash on you to live from day to day, or you don't know how to live day to day without
You're
it.
fucked.
Yeah, you're completely screwed. Like, and let me just say, this is something that has driven me crazy in every single goddamn movie, video game, TV series, book, everything.
Deep breath.
A fucking training routine. You're gonna tell me the zombie apocalypse happens and my fat ass ain't gonna be doing some training? No. I am going to have my people, and I've told my mom this from the start. I've told all my friends, and they have agreed with me. They're like, yeah, that's always bugged me that they never show this. But they never have people who get together as a group and go, you know what we should probably do? We should probably start training like, hey, Michonne, you know how to use a blade. Could you start teaching everyone else like every single day from 7 until 9 o'clock? You're going to do sword training.
Yep.
Okay. And then from 9 o'clock till 10, you get a rest. You go have your breakfast, you digest it, you do whatever you want. You get an hour free time. You come back from 10 until 12. You do first aid training. Everyone's going to learn how to do CPR. Everyone's going to learn how to dress a wound. Everyone's going to learn how to sew up a stitch. Like, and they never do it, and it makes me so mad because you can't tell me that during the zombie apocalypse you're not going to be doing like running exercises. Like, you need to be able to turn on a dime, run. If someone says, okay, stop, suddenly drop, you have to be able to like, it just drives me insane. It makes me so angry.
I know. We could sit here and discuss this for hours, though.
Yes, we could. I was going to say that's why I want to say this is my final point. It's the final camel, the final camel that's broke the straw's back.
There you go. So we've talked zombies, we've talked movies, books, video games, the actual meaning, history of zombies.
Yes, we have. Excuse me. So I think I really enjoyed this episode. Hopefully our listeners enjoy it too. Next week we'll be doing that fuzzy just came from. Next week I'm excited to say that we're going to have another guest speaker on, which is exciting for us as well as for them, I think. Next week is when we have, I don't actually know the rest of his name. I just know James.
James Fisher.
James Fisher. There we go. It's like I don't actually know the rest
Who
of his
that
name.
guy?
James. We just keep on calling him James.
You know, James from Louisiana.
Yeah, doesn't everybody know James?
You know that guy.
So yes, he will be coming on to talk about his I guess it'd be
Books.
called novellas because
Yeah,
they're shorter.
yeah.
I'm not really sure what constitutes novella versus a novel, so think I saw that it counts as a novella, so we're going to say he's going to be here to talk about his books.
His reading materials.
Yes, there we go. So we'll get to hear about his process, the stuff that he's working on, how he's doing about it. He gets to have some promotion. We get to meet an awesome guy. I'm excited for it.
Woo. So join us next week when James will be on, and we will be discussing all of his fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Until then, have a spectacular week and plan for the zombie apocalypse.
Don't forget your training routines.
Kill, shoot for the head.
Always the head. Always the head.
Have a good day, everyone.
See you later, guys.